Shalom Yasha'Allah. First and foremost, I want to get all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash, double honors to our apostles and elders at Great Millstone who rule well, and peace and blessings to the hopeful elect that pushes great gospel in sincerity and truth. This your brother Tazakai Yahweh from the Great Millstone Annapolis camp, coming at you another lesson through the spirit and the power of Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, and Lord willing be edifying. Got an article here from the businessinsider.com, and it reads, next year's food crisis will be different from this year's. Here's how it could change for the worse in 2023. This article came out August 28th, 2022, the year Yahweh Shai turned it up. And right here, you got some images that say, well, global food supplies could get tighter next year. So a few bullet points says the food crisis could worsen in 2023 with a supply squeeze overtaking logistical constraints as the key challenge. The Ukraine war has disrupted sowing and other farm activities, which has affected yields. Elsewhere, farmers are using less fertilizer due to higher prices, which could depress harvests, right? And definitely had this on that with the farmers, like I said, a few months back, because pretty much, like I said, those fertilizer prices now have not only, it said triple, but also quadruple. And not only has that, risen up, also like the feed for our animals and, so forth and so on. So a lot of things in regards to the agricultural life, whatever, that world has been definitely a hindrance, towards farmers. Now some farmers have spoken up and said that really that they only can afford to pretty much provide food for their own families. So there's definitely a strain that's going on here that Yahweh Shai is bringing to the world. But going on, it says, the pandemic, the war in Ukraine, and the ensuing supply chain chaos have collectively driven up the prices of everything from wheat and sunflower oil to lemons and avocados. While the supply chain has been in a state of disruption since the crown pandemic started in 2020, the dislocations have been compounded by the war between Russia and Ukraine, both of which are major wheat exporters. This has contributed to food inflation that's hitting the most vulnerable Slovakia, especially hard, according to Mercy Corps, Slovakia, a humanitarian organization that distributes aid to the needy globally. Skyrocketing food prices in 2022 have meant that cash assistance we provide vulnerable families doesn't go as far. Tajada Dion McKenna, the CEO of Mercy Corps, told Insider, the main constraint to accessing food is decreased purchasing power coupled with increased food prices. Last month, Ukraine and Russia reached an agreement brokered by the United Nations and Turkey that allows Ukraine to restart grain exports out of the Black Sea. The move has offered some relief to global markets. The UN Food and Agriculture Organization Food Price Index, which tracks a basket of commonly traded commodities, fell for the fourth consecutive month in July after hitting a record high earlier in 2022. Right? They say, but the price declines are unlikely to trickle down to consumers immediately. While many food prices have been decreasing in recent weeks, with some returning to pre-war levels, markets will continue to be volatile. And even if global prices come down, local markets may not see price adjustments for upwards of a year. And by then, we could see a new chapter in food crisis that could push up prices again. Here's how the food crisis could change for the worse in 2023. This year it's a logistics problem. Next year, it could be a supply issue. This year's food crisis is mostly due to a logistics disruption tied to issues in shipping Ukrainian and Russian grains out of the countries. But next year, the food supply it could be in peril, particularly, the food supply itself could be in peril, particularly in Ukraine. Russia's invasion of Ukraine, launched on February 24th, threw a wrench into the annual farm cycle and disrupted the spring sowing season in April and May. Another sowing cycle takes place from September to November, which I guess, be starting right now. They say in July, Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky took to Twitter to warn that the country's farm harvest could be halved this year due to the war. Ukrainian harvest this year is under the threat to be twice less, Zelensky tweeted. And like I said, and that's all, and like I said, that's also going to like what those farmers are speaking of. Pretty much, they're speaking about the yield of their crops that they normally plant. Well, they can't plant what they usually plant, or even have what they usually plant, because the prices of the fertilizer and seeds and so forth and so on has quadrupled. So not only it didn't, like, in some cases it doubled, but like I said, to triple to quadruple, that actually will cut down as far as on your actual yield, per year. So that's what's pretty much going on. These higher prices, inflations, and logistics. These logistics, disruptions via if they're allowed to export it out or if they're not. All these things are going to play, a part in food shortages, right? It says in an August September report, consultancy firm McKinsey forecasts a sharp drop in harvest values. It estimates Ukraine's production of grains such as wheat will drop by 35% to 45% in the next harvest season. Right? It said the ongoing conflict is interfering with farmers' ability to prepare fields, plant seeds, and protect and fertilize crops, which will likely result in even lower values next harvest season, McKinsey wrote in the report about global food security amid the Ukraine war and impact from climate change, so to speak. They always talk about this climate change and all this and that. They always talk about that madness. Oh, Salaki, give me 1 second. Great. 1 second. 1 second. Gotta get some real quick. There we go. Sorry, it's Salaki was a bee that was following me around everywhere, so Salakia for that. But it says, in the next planting season, due to war's disruption of Ukrainian planting and harvesting, and combined with less than optimal inputs into Russian, Brazilian, and other growing countries, crop supply will likely tighten, wrote McKinsey. The consultancy interviewed local growers and reviewed local data for its report. Soaring fertilizer prices, see, like I was speaking earlier. Soaring fertilizer prices and climate change add to supply shock. Right, and don't pay attention to the climate change. It's the BS that they speak about, pretty much to make money. But it says Russia accounted for almost 1/5 of 2021's fertilizer exports, but the war in Ukraine has caused severe disruption to the supply of crop nutrients. Prices of urea, a common nitrogen fertilizer, have more than doubled from a year ago. See, that's what I was speaking about earlier. It says, according to the Bloomberg's Green Market Service, as a result, farmers around the world are using less fertilizer. Fertilizer shortages and higher prices for fertilizer are also expected to reduce yields in countries that depend heavily on fertilizer exports, such as Brazil. This will likely further decrease the volume of grain on the world market, McKinsey wrote in this report. Mercy Corps has observed the same trend. Farmers we work with in Guatemala, Salakia, have been unable to invest in the next production cycle, either because they cannot afford to buy fertilizer and other inputs derived from oil, such as plastics for padding and pipes for irrigation systems, or because they cannot find agricultural inputs in the market, said McKenna. Given that the shocks to farming and supply can come at a time of extreme climate conditions, including severe droughts in Europe and floods in Australia. Also, they didn't make mention of wildfires. Those that destroys crops and stuff like that. And then you also got, like, in various places, locust attacks and a lot of vegetation being eaten by insects and stuff like that. So it's a lot of things that tie into these shortages, these whether it be fertilizer and so forth and so on. So ultimately, this is what Yahweh Shai visiting the place which he made, by sending these floods and these droughts and fires and so forth and so on. Also with this whole war, I remember seeing an article that said that Russia was burning, wheat fields and stuff like that over there in Ukraine. So a lot of stuff is tied to contributing to these shortages. So it says McKinney expects the next food crisis to be worse than those in 2007 to 2008 and from 2010 to 2011. The conflict in Ukraine is shaking important pillars of the global food system in an already precarious context, the consultancy said. So that's pretty much all we got on that. So going back to the top, read the title again. Next year's food crisis will be different from this year's. Here's how it could change for the worse in 2023. And ultimately, we know through the spirit and the power of Yahweh Bashim Al Shai that yes, it's definitely going to get worse. Going to the scriptures. Now, I was going to start right here in 16, but let's go to 8 real quick. So we know things are going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. It's not going to get better. Right, especially on this side. The only times when things will we get better, better is just an understatement, is when the kingdom of heaven is established under the rule from Yahweh by Yahweh Shai and to the rest of the elect Israelite men, on down. Ultimately, all Israel will be, on the righteous, the righteous kingdom. But you catch my drift. So right here, this is what I was speaking of as far as things getting worse. It's a 2 Ezra chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries, right? And the part of these miseries is what? Supply chain, disruptions, food shortages, logistics disruptions, ultimately famine, starvation. You get what I'm saying? These are part of these miseries, some of the miseries. It shall be done to them that dwell, to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world. And we are in the latter times. We are in those last days, if you will, that people speak about. Because they have walked in great pride. And understand this, who has the earth been given to? The earth has been given to the hand of the wicked, right? Saying who is that? Esau Edom. And Esau Edom is called what? The most proud. So this is ultimately a prideful kingdom, that's ran in wickedness under these devils. But also, even with that pride then stems down to the people. Because the people over here in Babylon the Great would always believe that nothing can stop them. They always be able to rise to the top. If they fall or anything happen, we'll always be, stable. That's why scriptures say that they think they should be a lady forever, right? So the pride from your leaders, for your oppressors, it stoops down to the underlings, the people, ultimately the more undesirables, right? So that's what I say for many great miseries. That's not something small. That's not something that you push off. It's a great thing. You're going to feel this. You're going to be affected by it. So we understand that Yahweh Bashim El Shai is going to bring these great miseries to them that dwell in the world in these latter times, which is right now, right? So that's why I say we'll take a turn for the worse. Yes, things are going to get worse. It's not going to get better. Just like in Ezekiel 7 say, evil and only evil has come. The end is coming. Watch it 40, roughly paraphrasing, Ezekiel chapter 7, verse 5 and 6, right? Evil times are here. It ain't going to get no better. So let's go ahead and get this 2 Ezra chapter 16. Starting at verse 17. Battery a little low, but Lord willing, I'm able to finish this. But yeah, it says, verse 17, woe is me, right? And we understand that woe means what? Destruction, death, destruction, calamities. You get what I'm saying? Lamentations, mourning, and woe. So this is a man of the Lord saying, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days. And through the Spirit, as we understand that reincarnation is biblical, we believe that Ezra is here prophesying against this wicked kingdom as we speak. But he said, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days, because what Yahweh Bashim El Shai showed him, it was just, it's a horrible time period. He seen the death and destruction and everything that was coming to pass, and he thought, like, damn, man, everything going bad like this, will I be saved in those days? And through the Spirit, we understand that, yes, the elect gonna go through these things, but, they're going to be in the midst of what's going on, but Yahweh Bashim El Shai is going to preserve them, however way he has set for them to be preserved, right? Verse 18, the beginning of sorrows, right? Sorrows, bad times, evil times, It says, in great mournings. And the earth right now in itself is in a time of great mourning. People are not happy. People are upset. This contributes to the people not being happy, being upset. The whole crown thing and, all these uproars of the people, so forth and so on. This is contributing to those great mournings. And actually, give me a second. I'm about to go inside because for some reason all these bees want to come out everywhere. So all these things going on right now as we speak. So it says the beginning of famine, right? And that's what this whole article is pretty much hitting at. Famines. Excuse me. Slack you. These famines, going on right now, these shortages, and and this is what all brought to you by who? Yahweh Shemel Shai. It's in great death. And as we've been seeing, a lot of death. Like, we know day in and day out, Yahweh Shemel Shai, renders out his judgment. But the death, death is going to be coming in a great manner, in a great, it's going to be intensified. More and more death is going to come. It's going to come to pass. Right? So like you say, the beginning of wars, right? And we see, of course, we got the, with the little Russia-Ukraine fiasco, and you got Iran against Israel speaking against each other, China in the South China Sea, against Taiwan, Japan. But also this most recent thing was what I think is Azerbaijan against like Armenia, so that's another war that they said had broke out as well. So these are all what? Pertaining to what? Prophecy, right? And the power shall stand in fear, so hey, all the way down, all the way up to your elites, all the way down to the lesser luminaries, your governors, your mayors, presidents, so forth and so on, prime ministers, whatever the case may be. They all stand in fear, right? Because these things that Yahweh Shemashah is bringing to the earth. But definitely, the elites, because they actually know that the scriptures are true. They know that it's real. So they understand when these things come to pass, they know that they're getting closer and closer to their demise, to the destruction and the uprooting of their kingdom, right? The beginning of evils, right? What? The beginning of bad times. What shall I do when these evils shall come? And I'll tell you this, the best thing for you to do is what? To put your trust and faith in Yahweh Shemel Shai to be delivered from these sad things, from these sad perils. But we understand that only the elect are going to trust in Yahweh Shemel Shai to receive deliverance, right? Verse 19. Behold, famine, lack of food, scarcity of a harvest. Behold, famine, or hey, even like lack of water, people have drought. Some people doing water rationing, even over here in Babylon the Great, that people ain't paying attention to. Because why? People paying attention to what? These rappers dying. Then they pay attention to relationship goals. These rappers relate relationship. Oh, this person left this person. Oh, this, that. They care about a bunch of bullshit. They care about these sports and all this and that. And that's okay to have like a pastime or something that you may watch. But we know we don't get fully in tune. We don't get fully immersed in, these things, because we understand that all this is temporal. It's all going to pass away, in the near future. Right? But it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for a minute. This is Yahweh Shemel Shai, pretty much pulling that belt out and whooping you. He sent these things to scourge you, to correct you, right? So you can get your mind right, so to speak. But for all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness. So even when Yahweh Shemel Shai is sending out these lashes of famine, the plague of pestilences, of wars, rumors of war, they say what? For all these things, they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor always be mindful of this curse. So the people not going to care. They may, they may think about it, ponder upon it for a day or two, maybe a week. But after a while, they just forget about it and go and get carried on and go on to their wickedness still, right? It says, and that's when they're going to get caught with a thief in the night, because they don't understand that these are all the birthing pains that lead up to that great destruction, right? Verse 21, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And that's going to what? This food. But even right now, the victuals are food, but even right now, the prices have been going up. Whether if you go into fast food or unless you go to the store, prices have been going up. And it's also contributed to what? These supply chain disruptions, inflation, so hyperinflation, so forth and so on. These wars that's causing this and that, whatever the case may be. People think they themselves in a good case, but after a while, man, it's go, because that's what happened with the people is they live by gradualism. They complain about something for a week or a month, and then they just ultimately, well, it's okay. We'll continue, whatever. We'll just get along to get along. But it's going to come a point in time where you're not going to have that attitude. It's going to be like, man, this is horrible. You get what I'm saying? To say that they shall think themselves to be in a good case, right? You think you are right now, but wait till everything gets shut down again, which you know is going to happen. They say, even then shall evils or bad times grow upon earth. What? Sword, right? Death, death, violence, destruction, famine, right? And great confusion. All these things is going to come to pass from Yahweh Shemel Shai, right? Verse 22 says what? For many of them that dwell upon earth shall perish of famine. So a lot of people going what? They're going to die from starving to death. That's just like what is written. And the other that escaped the hunger, see, but let's say if you escape it, I overcame that. Well, guess what? And the other that escaped the hunger shall the sword destroy. So the Lord got a way for you to be destroyed. There's no getting away or anything like that. If your tab is to be pulled up to die, to be judged by Yahweh Shemel Shai for your sins and iniquity, He gonna have a way to get a hold of you, So it's not going to be no escape. So this is the things that are coming to pass to the world. This is what people's not paying attention to. They're not being mindful of. Therefore, they're gonna be caught as a thief in the night and be left out there to dry, and then ultimately be destroyed. And the elect in the middle of the Lord, those all of the elect, the women, as well, so forth and so on. But mainly to the men who's teaching this word, not gonna give a damn about it. We're not gonna care. We're not gonna feel bad. Because why? The warnings are going out daily, day and day, every hour, every second, every minute. A warning is going out, but the people's not taking heed to it. So guess what? When you get destroyed for your ignorance, for your disobedience, man, that's upon you, because you didn't want to listen. Because one thing I want to point out this. So we not sure to say we wasn't given the spirit of fear. So understand this: all these perilous things that Yahweh Bashim Yahshua sent into this world is not meant for the elect. Lord willing, we be of that number. Because let's go on and say this: Sirach chapter 40 verse 8. Such things happen to all flesh, both man and beast, and that is sevenfold more upon sinners. Because don't man and beast die, right? And animals die too. Now of course they don't. They wasn't given the laws or whatever the case may be, but just, begin that example. Man and beast die, and it's saying that is sevenfold more upon sinners, right? Sinners are who? The sinners of Zion. Because why? The Israelites was the only ones given the law, statutes, commandments that Yahweh Bashim Shai. But don't get me wrong, these heathens that, they'll go out there and do things that we consider sin and iniquity, they get judged too. Trust and believe that. But the main, focus upon our people, our nation, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the Israelites, right? The children of Yahweh Bashim Shai. Verse 9. Death and bloodshed, strife and sword, calamities, famine, tribulation, and the scourge. Go look at what these things may mean if the spirit upon you, right? They say what? These are not good at all. These are what we consider evil, bad, right? And again, what's in there? Famine. Got to pull that out. It says these things are created for the wicked, right? So all these things, these perilous things, these evil things that Yahweh Bashim Yahshua bring to the earth, these things are prepared for the wicked. So ultimately, who? The 2/3 of the nation of Israel, and then you heathens as well, right? Because y'all just collateral damage. Oh well. And saying for their sakes came the flood. So the flood during the time of Noah came for what? The sakes of what? The wicked. That's why the ones who was considered righteous in that time period, they were saved. Same thing gonna happen when this next flood come via fire. The ones who are considered righteous gonna be saved, and the rest of the world gonna be what? Destroyed. Because even back then, 2/3 of our people were destroyed. The sons of men was destroyed of the other nations, and also what? The sons of the wicked, the seed of Cain, they were destroyed as well. Likewise, it's gonna happen in this time period. The sons of God, the 2/3 of the nation of Israel are gonna be destroyed. The sons of men, the other heathen nations, are going to be destroyed. And then the sons of the wicked, the Edomites, Esau, Edom, the so-called white people, they're going to be destroyed too by that flood that's going to be via fire. Because why? Because of their wickedness. So the best thing for you is to what? To repent and convert, and follow the ways that you have about your shots to the best of your ability. But for those who don't do that, because that's what the elect going to do. But as far as the people who not going to do that, death and destruction is prepared for thee. Whether you're 2/3 or you a heathen. So Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to the sincere Akira. Actually, Salakia. I want to make mention of this real quick too. Now it says a railroad strike averted after marathon talks reached tentative deal. Here, real quick, it said what? Unions and management reached a tentative deal early Thursday, averting a freight railroad strike that had threatened to cripple U.S. supply chains and push prices higher for many goods, just like what that previous article that we just read in the Insider. You get what I'm saying? But here's the thing. Let me see this real quick. The deal with unions representing more than 50,000 engineers and conductors was announced just after 5 a.m. Eastern Time in a statement from the White House, which called it an important win for our economy and American people. Right? We can look at this as what? Peace and safety. You know what I'm saying? It's all good. Ain't nothing to worry about, but still supply chains are being crippled. It's a verbal agreement between the two sides was reached at about 2:30 a.m. according to sources, and the final hours were spent getting the details worked out. Now, I did see another article said just because things were halted don't mean that the strike still won't happen. So don't get comfortable and be relief, this and that. A strike still can happen, right? So it said, like I said, it was a verbal agreement, so this is something that could have threatened the U.S., supply chain, and Lord willing to do. Lord willing, the Lord allowed this strike to still happen. But yeah, so like I wanted to mention this right after the article I just read, but I just want to put that out there, so at the end of the day, again, You know, hey, again, like I said, put your trust and faith in Yahweh Shem Shai. Do that which you can make to the best of your ability so that you may be saved in these perilous times. So, Lord willing, this lesson was edifying to sincere Akim Aquafim out there listening. I want to give all praises and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Wadash, the bonus of our apostles and elders and great millstone who rule well. And peace and blessings to the hopeful that pushes the great gospel with sincerity and truth. Shalom, Yasha Allah, Abai, Babal.